specifically AWS? Excellent. Okay. And how many services do you think you guys are using within each of those cloud services at this point? 5? Cool. All right. That's a good start. What is this? Okay. Got it. All right. So I'm just going to do some introduction to developers. Pretty much what I've done is looked at my recents in AWS and seen what I do every single day at my job as a software engineer. So I'm a senior software engineer now. I graduated as a software engineer major from Oregon Tech. They used to be called the Oregon Institute of Technology, but they've kind of rebranded. I've been in professional development for 15 years. Right now, I'm using AWS with React, Node.js, Python, and SQL. I hold 3 AWS certifications that I started out with the Cloud Practitioner, which is kind of what I call the grammar test of all, your foundational grammar test of AWS. And then I went on to a Developer Associate certificate, which just gets you more into the weeds of the AWS world and the development life cycles. And then recently I just got my Solutions Architect Associate. I'm moving on to do a Solutions Architect Professional. And my goal is to hold all the certs in probably 3 years, but take it nice and slow. So I've attended reInvent twice. reInvent's a really fun event. It's in Las Vegas. So there's kind of a duality of what's happening in Vegas and then a bunch of software engineers running around talking about tech stacks. So really fun time. And I work at a rather large tire. Okay, so things I will cover today is we're going to do a little introduction to AWS and services that I use every day. AWS serverless for developers. At Les Schwab, we use a serverless stack, and we try to use a serverless stack only. It contains costs and is really flexible with prototyping and creating things fast and on the cheap. So, and then I'm going to show you what I'm currently building, and I have a few new projects that I'll be embarking on, and I'll show you some old projects that we have done in the AWS stacks. And then I'll show you ways to learn to get these certifications, because employers do seek these, and they're really not that expensive to get. And they just reinforce what you've learned in the AWS stack. So what is AWS? Well, Amazon Web Services, right? The AWS cloud spans 61 availability zones, 20 geographic regions, and they plan for more. You have 12 more availability zones coming soon, and 4 more regions coming in Bahrain, Cape Town, Hong Kong, SAR, and Milan. And then they have 150 edge locations. So what is an AWS region? AWS region is a physically separated location. It will consist of 3 availability zones. These are physically staggered, so if a Earth event happens, you have redundancy. They provide low latency, high throughput, and you can see we have one here in Oregon. You know, we have one of those availability zones right here in Pineville. You got Northern California, which is another one we use at Schwab, and then Canada, and then you have Gov Clouds, which we don't have access to, obviously. So what is an availability zone? It's a fault tolerant, scalable, traditional data center. So you have a data center, you might have 3 of them in availability zone, but they will keep your redundancy, and you know, they'll help you with fault tolerance, and you know, build upon each other to scale your applications. Then you have the edge locations, which connect all these availability zones. These edge locations are little geographical caches. You'll see in CloudFront, you can like stash caches of information that people access in different places. So if someone from Hong Kong is looking for our tires, well, we can stash that tire information in that cache and make it quickly available for even those users. Now, I bring this slide in because when I was going over just the basics of the regions and availability zones, I noticed AWS wavelength. I didn't know about this, but it's a true testament of how quickly this infrastructure is growing. This was deployed in 2020, and it creates a optimized mobile computing application using service providers' 5G networks. So they have these EC2 instances and storage instances directly on these 5G networks. Pretty cool. So after this, I'm going to look more into it because we have road service employees, and that would speed up the speed of which their phones could grab information on our internal apps. So AWS offers 200 fully featured services, a ton. I don't even scratch the surface in this or at work using them. Your major hitters are Lambdas. Most people have had experience with Lambdas, your serverless compute, SQS, SNS, DynamoDB for your NoSQL, your elastic load balancers, your IAM, you see the list. There's tons more of them, and growing bigger every day and growing more robust every day. So AWS serverless for developers. So this is a subject that I am really passionate about. This is what we use at Les Schwab to spin up things really quickly, tear them down really quickly, and just prototype fast and be fast. So the first one we always talk about is the first one that was introduced. In 2004, SQS was introduced as the standalone AWS service. Well, it's a queuing infrastructure. It decouples your applications, be it a hybrid model of an on-prem server talking to an AWS serverless Lambda or processor. It's pull-based, not push-based. So you'll have to have something pulling it in the queue. Usually we use triggers. These triggers receive the message and strike up the Lambda for your particular process or processes. These messages can be up to 256 kilobytes of text. And yes, we have run into trying to make that bigger in places. So usually I pack that with telling it to go to an S3 bucket for anything bigger. You have standard queues. These are really nice. They're very fast. You have unlimited transactions per second. It uses a best effort ordering. So it tries to do, in order, but it will get out of order. But a message is guaranteed to be delivered at least once. FIFO queues are used if you need exactly once processing. This depends on how your Lambda is processing, how your process is processing. If you have to strictly maintain first in, first out order, this is your go-to. It's a little slower than the standard queue, but you're guaranteed for it to be in order. So if you have that linear process, you're not writing over it, right? So, so another one of those early services was the simple storage service. It's an object database. This presentation is being held in that database right now and on my static web app right now. It is designed for 99.9. I'm not going to go, but we call it 11 nines of durability, which means it's really unlikely you're going to lose that object unless it's your fault, which I've done before. Out of the 4 million some objects, I've lost 400. So I still think I'm good, but I was really upset about losing those 400 objects. These can be from 0 to 5 terabytes in size. And you have 6 types. You got your standard, which we use a lot, infrequently accessed, which slows down your read time. You have one availability zone infrequently accessed. You have intelligent tiering, which is really nice because AWS watches you and your use of that object and will start scaling down the price of the storage based upon your use. And then you got Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive, which are just archives. If you put an object in there, it's going to be like a day or two before you can retrieve it from AWS. It's so stuffed down storage bowels. So it's unlimited storage. You pay monthly depending on your storage type. It's a key value pair. So you have the name of the object, and then you have the data that makes up the sequence of bytes of said object. Lambda, everyone's favorite. Run code without provisioning servers. You pay for just the compute time, and that's, we run millions upon millions of Lambda invocations a month, and the bill's not too great. They can only last for 15 minutes though, so anything over that you have to go with like Fargate containers or something more static. These were all updated from all these trainings I've done. I had to go back and update. It used to be 5 minutes for a Lambda, now it's 15 minutes. And now you can do 10,000 megabytes of memory. Pretty cool. It was only 512 when I started. And you can have a default of 1,000 concurrent executions, and you can increase this. And we had to do this at some times because we have something called snow rush and everybody comes in to buy tires. Well, we get slammed pretty hard. So, and then this uses Node, Python, Java, .NET, Go, Ruby, and then even custom runtimes, which I would really like to see someone spin that up. I haven't seen any examples of that yet, but I'm gonna go check it out. Now, step functions. These are workflow orchestrations. You can tie Lambda functions together with it. It gives you a visual way to see your serverless applications. So making debugging easier. And I like to watch it with a few of our processes because I can see them successfully run, or click on each one of the error spots. So I can click on this if it errored out and see what the payload was and why it errored. But really cool stuff. I really like using step functions because it takes those big monolithic decision functions that you have, breaks it out in a more visual way so you can get to the real meat of the application in your Lambda processes. And also builds on JSON, which is really nice to use. We have CloudFront. CloudFront is your content delivery network. You have your website on there. So I have gus.erickson.com. It's on a CloudFront URL that is created by Amazon. It's not pretty, but you can put an alternate domain name on it and make it pretty. Make it say Gus, or make it say Les Schwab, or make it say awesome, or .ninja, which I found in the page references. So excellent. So then we use DynamoDB. This is your NoSQL database service. These are spread across 3 geographically distinct locations, making it very highly durable. This again has those 11 nines of durability. You don't lose stuff with this thing unless it's your fault, but you can still do better things to back it up. The cool thing about this is you can have a ton of data in it, and you're only charged for the data reads and writes. You have read capacity units and write capacity units, and you can do math and figure out how much you're going to spend each month, depending on your service. So you have 2 sorts of reads. You have a read that reflects all writes within 1 second, which is a strongly consistent read. It has higher latency than eventual consistent reads. But when you come down to eventual consistent reads, which is mostly what we use because we don't need that sub-second all the time with our applications yet, you should return a response with the latest data within a second. Should being the key term there. And all this data is stored in solid state drives, and it is fast. It rips. So, and we have a lot of our applications that don't need complex databases with joins and whatnot in there. Totally unnecessary at some points. So you have the API gateway. You use it for REST and SOAP APIs. We use this a lot to connect applications and get data from different applications. You'll see a couple examples of what we've done using API Gateway. And it connects to services like Lambda or DynamoDB directly. It will throttle requests to prevent attacks. And you can maintain multiple versions of your API. So we have dev, QA, pre-prod, all in stacks, and we can promote properly that way. Cognito, I was in this yesterday because we have a credit application and we redeployed it, but we had to rebuild everything. And one of the things I didn't notice is that our Okta chiclet, a little like icon in the web to get into an application, we call it a chiclet, like the gum. So the CloudFront URL was wrong in CloudFront. I didn't see that till later, until I clicked on the chiclet. So, but that was in QA. But this is excellent. This is a web identity federation, and it uses providers like Google and Apple. Facebook's another one, and even Amazon to authenticate with your as a web provider. And you can also use SAML to connect to Active Directory Federation Services or Okta. We use Okta. Synchronizes on multiple devices, so you have the data crossing over multiple devices without you having to write that, which is great. You can create a self-service account recovery method, and this also can use multi-factor authentication. Secrets Manager, we use Secrets Manager a lot. This is a place for you to securely store secrets, API keys, passwords, even hidden URLs if you need be. The charge is monthly for the secrets you store and for 10,000 API calls, which we easily do. It automatically rotates the KMS keys for you, so you don't have to do that, taken care of, and can be shared across AWS accounts. We have 7 or 8 right now, so it's good that we can grab keys from account instead of writing in multiple ones and having to maintain that. Too much infrastructure. EventBridge. This is getting really fun. EventBridge is getting a lot faster. We're using it a lot more, and I have a few more applications that will be using this. This is how you build event-driven applications. This thing is integrated with your 200 services in AWS, Lambda, Dynamo, CloudWatch, alerts. It will strike up processes and it will triage different messages to different subscribers. So, and again, it's supported by almost all AWS services. We use it we have Oracle sending us messages. We triage that, or no, we have our point of sale sending us messages, and we can triage that into different buckets for processing. So, CloudWatch. So I use this daily. This is how I debug my bad code and then look for errors and possibly, attacks within the API gateway. We have alerts that tell us when there's too many processes in a dead letter queue, signifying we have an application problem. It notifies our network operations center, who can reboot certain things before calling us. Very great tool, and we've tethered it with PagerDuty. We have log groups that organize your logs. You've probably seen this when you're developing your Lambda functions, that this is a great tool to log to and figure out how your code is running. You have log insights. This is one of my favorite tools. I'm in it all the time. It's a query. It's a query page where you can drill down to exactly what you're looking for. I use this for tire storage. Occasionally we lose a pair of tires, but we can find them again because they get scanned over, a process was missed, which means I probably need to update my software to block those. but users, when they get into your code, it's a pretty interesting world. So then you got X-ray, which gives you a visualization of your serverless application again, and it makes it easier to identify issues and find opportunities for optimization. This is nice. We don't use this because we've kind of used a third-party tool to make it even more powerful. So there's a third-party tool called Migo, which watches our processes and spins up and notices variances and errors in our processing, and will give us insights in that. Cloud formation. Now this is fun. This is really great stuff. It's hard at first, but saves a ton of hours later. This is your infrastructure as code. You put this into a YAML file, and you can just slowly, iteratively update your infrastructure, and it will build in the cloud. And this is a little snippet of, this is my roll and pin tool, which I was supposed to deploy this week. We had some problems, not on the application itself, but we'll be releasing it in 2 weeks. But here I'm able to create my Dynamo DBs, each individual Lambdas that I need, CloudFront, my build spec for my CI/CD, my connection to GitHub. It's a very powerful tool, and it will keep you moving once you get started with it. It has different, you have parameters. You can use conditions, make sure, is the server there, create it. Is it not, don't create it, conditions like that. You have your resources. It's mandatory. You can't create a stack without any resources. So you can have up to have one Lambda in there, and that's your stack. That's great. You have different application mappings, and then you have transforms, which I haven't used yet, but this is I think I'm going to be trying this here soon. This will reference code or reusable snippets in S3. So more on that. Haven't found a use for it, but always searching for a way to use something new, right? Then we have our code pipeline. CI/CD service that is automated. It uses AWS and third-party tools. So you'll see it integrate with CodeStar, which is AWS's version of GitHub. It's fun. I have an M there instead of a comma. Code build. GitHub directly. We have ours. We use GitHub at Les Schwab, and it integrates with GitHub, Jenkins, and some others. This orchestrates your build, test, deployment of your application. You put some JSON calls in there. And then you get to quote code build, and we call this code build TV when we're spinning up applications. When you are really debugging a CloudFormation template, this is your best friend. It compiles your source code, runs tests. It will roll back if the tests don't work. And so you will have a running application. And if it was a bad deployment, it won't affect your users. So, and then you can customize the steps all in your build spec. So, okay, so that was really quick of the stuff I saw for the last few weeks in my AWS console. That's what I use the most right now. So what am I currently building? So this was my first application with AWS, but it keeps iterating. They keep wanting more out of it, so it's really cool. It sits between our point of sale inventory system and our public facing website. If you open up the website, select for a set of tires, we will know exactly what location you're at. And if that location has tires, it will also suggest the nearby locations that have tires. So we can say, oh, we can't get that to you today, but we can get that to the store within 24 hours. Or it shows us what's exactly at the distribution center. And that means everything. So then we can say, well, we can get them to you in 3 days. Those we ship by truck. This is API Gateway, Lambda, and Amazon VPC. It's a very simple app, but it's quick. It's sub-second process. It's awesome. And now it does one-to-many. That was our new update. We were calling it multiple times, but the website wanted all the pages to load all the products at once. So we put it in one call and it rips. It's pretty quick. I'm embarking on a new adventure with the DC conveyor. This is going to decouple our conveyor from our IBM I system, which is I series. It's old green screen stuff. It's AS400, if anybody's heard of that. And it's our warehouse management system. Well, we don't want to be with it forever. And the best way to move off of it is to decouple it. So what we'll do is decouple it, normalize it in the cloud, and then we'll be able to shift over to the new warehouse system seamlessly. This uses a lot of things. This uses API Gateway, Lambda. You see the list, MQTT, which I'm getting better with. The Fargate container. We have this here because this is our first project outside of Lambda. We're using Fargate because these guys will have this process running for about 2 hours while they consolidate totes down this. You can see this is our conveyor. There's 22 arms. They kick totes down and they know what's in a store order, and the employees consolidate them because space is very important when you're shipping on a truck, and they can scan it. And so this uses React, Node.js, Python. I had to write a special Python FTP server because our iSeries does not know how to use anything modern. So it has to act like the user. And so it enters in a username and password, and it gets into an SFTP and drops its files for me. And then I ingest them, parse them out, and put them into different totes. So this is really exciting. I'm starting on this. I just got the roll and pin tool mostly done. And so I'm going to be moving to this next. This is really cool. I get to mess with a gigantic robot, and they won't let me do a can-can with 22 legs. They said, no, it will probably break. So another big app I have is seasonal tire storage. This was an initiative that we did when we decided maybe not everybody wants to store their tires in our big yellow bags in their house. Well, we developed this application, and it holds 4,000 sets of tires now. And that's the racks right now that they're using. You see the services it uses. I use React Native because we also have this on the cheapest process, like I think the last iteration, 7th generation iPods is how we did it. This is an example of our prototyping. We got these cheap iPods, they scan, they enter the tires in, and it's still running on those. We're going to move to Android soon, maybe more modern iPhones as well. But we're going to put these on Android tablets, so probably to keep the cost reduced. But it's a really cool program, and it has exploded. This was my second big initiative going on. So, and this also uses the step function, which makes your debugging of out of order tire retrievals possible. We also have a point of sale event system. This uses the event bridge predominantly. Oracle, or a customer first, our point of sale system sends us data. Well, we need to get it into Oracle, and we need it real time. This thing is fast. The message goes in, we have definitions and rules based upon the message coming in, and we can triage them to the locations in the Oracle database we need it to go. Pretty cool stuff. And we're already working on version 2 as we're going to be upgrading our point of sale system. We're going to have these things running side by side as we go into a new era of point of sale. Others, we have a work order processor. This is strongly step function as well. If you go on the site, you can order tires, and it uses a combination of real-time inventory, and it will create an order and an appointment in systems that are totally different and never see each other, but they're connected by this one application. We have the capper. You can get credit from Les Schwab on the website, and we have an application that is store specific. They can look at your credit, know your worthiness, and get you a set of tires if you need to, or rims, or suspension kits. That's more We have .scan, we have DOT numbers on tires. iPhone just scans the 10-digit number and puts it directly into the point of sale system. We'll be starting on this again soon. We just took a break on it because licensing for some of the technologies that we're using. Message Runner, this is a new application we have that will notify the customer with a click that their tires are ready. You can take off, you can drop your car off, leave, and just press a button, send you a text, and come in and pick up your car. It's pretty fun. This is another one of our prototypes. It's growing. The stores are using it, and it's every day we're adding more stores. So the point of sale roll tool. This is another. This connects to Okta. It updates our point of sale roles, and it does it. We had to do this because the IDM tool that the point of sale came with had God rights. We don't want everybody to have God rights in the point of sale system. That's not healthy. You got to think about least privileges when dealing with security. So we create a layer in React that the help desk can assign ad hoc roles. So if a manager has to go to another store for 2 weeks, they can just say, here, go 2 weeks, and it sets up their roles. It uses JSON on the DynamoDB and creates large APIs for Okta to consume, send to Aquera, and update your permissions on your point of sale. And we also have custom suspension sheets. So we have suspension kits. We have a lot of them, and we have a lot. We want our customers to be safe and all of our stores to know how to use them. So this holds all the directions, the models, and any details that they need to know about putting these kits on certain types of cars. So that's what I'm working on, and that's not the end of the list either. So best ways to learn. So I learned from A Cloud Guru. It's $250 a year. You get video lessons, labs, quizzes, tests to take these certification exams. You can pay $35 a month, and I bet in $35 you can get the practitioner exam, all of it, easy peasy, and then go for the developer. It's a really cool system. This is me in reInvent. My first one, that's Ryan Krunenberg. He's the founder of A Cloud Guru, and I had to meet him because he's given me, his lessons have given me all my certifications that I have. You have AWS resources. I'll give you these URLs later if you don't want to write them down, but AWS has training themselves. It's free. They have self-paced labs. They have their certification prep. You can go into your AWS console and just play. That's the best way to learn. Best way, build stuff, build lots of stuff. Since AWS grows so fast, I would pay attention to the news blog. I'd pay attention to the what's new page and the white papers. And if you get the capital, reInvent's really fun. It's great to drink the Kool-Aid with a bunch of other software engineers and just have a great time. I learn a lot there. The speakers are incredible, and they know their stuff. And then you'll be sitting down having lunch, and you'll just collaborate about technology that you're using. Wiz Labs is also another training that works. I have a coworker who got their certification doing this. It's cheaper than the A Cloud Guru. It has the practice exams and lesson videos. If you add $3 more, you can get labs. You add $2 more after that, you get the console and sandboxes. And sandboxes are great because it's not your AWS console. And if you forget to turn off resources, you're not charged. They turn it off within 24 hours. I fell on that. I paid $146 because I kept a test FTP server in my personal one and forgot about it. It's like, oh, that's fun. I got my bill today and it was $7.95. So that was good. It's like, so serverless land. definitely go to this website. This shows you serverless design patterns. This is awesome. I found this in reInvent last time I went. It has a patterns collection, has code examples, workflows, and event-driven architectures and lessons. This is what I reference now. And it's free and it's collaborative. People are adding to it every day. So with that, do we have any questions? Did I do it in the right time? All right. Cool. Any questions?
I'd like to speak a little bit more to fully serverless. If maybe find out a little bit more clearly that you don't have this undefined server constant on always every single request, and clarify how you can run a website without having to build it.
Yeah, our applications are static web pages. So when they become dynamic, that's when we bring in the lambdas. So we store pages in an S3 bucket. The pages contain your basic, HTML elements. React uses your components and wrappers, and we can make a dynamic web page based upon Lambda processes. We can create a material UI table really quickly, and with serverless, with a DynamoDB, we can present data to you. With Aurora database, we can pull our tires. So we have your React, mainly our lambdas are just creating that dynamic visualization that our stores need. But yeah, it's all hosted in S3 bucket. And then we have, our lambdas deployed in the sky, which each button knows about them and we can connect to them. So
You're spinning up lambdas in real time in response to the site.
Yep. Real time. So you'll have a code start, like when Realm tool starts up, it takes 3 seconds, but anytime after that, we have a warmed lambda, it's go time. They can work all day. So it'll shut down in 15 minutes unless you click it again.
Your common service, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Generally without response time. Maybe occasionally cut a little slower response time, but once that
Yeah. Real-time inventory at one point had what was called a lambda warmer on it. It was a function that ran every 14 minutes because we were seeing cold start problems and people didn't like to wait for the tires to refresh. So what we did was called a lambda warmer. It's not best practice, but when I went to AWS and talked to others, that's what everybody else was doing. So I was on the right track. I just didn't feel right because I was keeping a lambda up. Real-time inventory will probably become a Fargate container, I bet, because it now has 4 or 5 different systems consuming its data, and it just needs to rip. We can't have slow processes. So
Fargate is a constant on more of it.
it's a function container. It's a functional container service that you can spin up. I'm new to it. I'll be using it for DC Conveyor first and kicking it around. So I'll learn more here soon.
Curious what value you would say AWS certifications bring, say a student a year out from graduating. You're working towards them. What value do you see in getting the actual certification rather than just learning the?
A certification is, when I look at resumes, the certification helps you get in the door really quickly. It forced me to learn the material differently. We use such a subset of services that it helped me to explore and learn more about the services that are available and how to best use them. As software engineers, you have to know your language, but you have to know when to apply languages and procedures and different methods to create a solution for your employer So it really helped me learn what I wasn't looking at, because we were looking at such a small, that presentation, that was such a subset of AWS that we use. But now that I know about Fargate, I'm like, oh, use this for that. Or, Ryan got our pinpoint out again, and just services I don't know about, like AWS Glue, extract, transform logic right there. I mean, we were doing it manually, but we have a tool where we can just drag and drop and like start moving data really quickly. So it kind of gives you that breadth of, and that proves that to me when I see that on a resume, like they know a lot. So, welcome. Anybody else?
I'd like to know that the work order processor acronym Whopper is the reference to war games.
You bet. That's where it came from. Yeah. So on an initial Lucid chart, our architecture diagrams, we have a picture of the Whopper computer from War Games on there. So yeah, we like that. We like Matthew Broderick. So.
I approve.
Huh?
I approve.
Excellent. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
So there's a lot of talk these days about how you feel personally about your job, and it gives you a sense of like fulfillment. And when you think about your job at Les Schwab, you look at those tires on people's car and you think, I put those there. Like I am a huge part of the success of Les Schwab. Is that something that sort of sits in your mind? Like, how do you think about your software job?
Yeah, I feel it's great satisfaction because what we're doing is enabling our stores and our employees to get away from the computer more, have it do all those little logical procedures, and then communicate with the customer, sell tires faster, make sure the customer gets the right things. That's why we have all these specialized apps, because cars are specialized. And like we're working on TPMS sensors. I didn't know that we had 1,500 TPMS sensor types, but we have to have a database of it. They have to bring it up, because when you bring in your tires, we don't know by memory what goes on there. We have to reference it. So, and I like the job satisfaction is great. It's been really fun because I worked at the hospital before, and I was optimizing those procedures to help people that were sick. Now I'm in a different world, but it's helping employees do their work better, not do the boring stuff. I can write some code and make their lives easier. So great satisfaction for that.
It matters. You guys have such a great room.
It's good. We're trying to
I'd
keep
like
that.
to go to Schwab.
Excellent. That's good. Yeah, I really like the place. It's a great place to work. We have a great team. Great team. We collaborate really well, and our bosses lets us explore. What do you guys want to do to make us better? And we have that freedom to do that. So. Anyone else? There's a lot of that question you can ask. Yes.
If there was an aspect of cloud development that you would like to dip your toes into and haven't yet, what would that be? There's something on the cusp of cloud development.
The AI stuff's getting real fun. We've been watching ChatGPT. I've seen some cloud formation templates being written by it. They're garbage. So you got it. It looks at Stack Overflow. So you see the garbage on Stack Overflow, and it came up at work the other day. I was given a cloud formation template, but I'd like to see that get better, because it's going to be part of our jobs. It's going to be part of art. It's going to be part of programming. Reducing keystrokes is the name of the game. Fast software development. Keep moving. That's just what you have to do. So I think it's going to be a big tool. I would like to get into it more. We'll probably do some research in it. We're trying to do AWS has something called Greengrass that develop AI. We tried it for a little while because we were looking at cars entering our bays. We wanted to see how long it takes to do certain things so we could schedule more efficiently. we're gonna be looking into that again probably sometime soon, just to make our customer experience better. Yes,
Like a high level, what was your favorite and least favorite thing about AWS? The reputation for being complex and hard to use and kind of a daunting world to jump into. So what do you love most and what do you wish for that?
so what I love most and not love most about AWS. I love how big it is. It's easy to find documentation. I can spin up stuff very easily. A lot of people know it, so you have a good community even here in Central Oregon that used to meet and talk about stacks and AWS. Least favorite? Right now, it's what have I been dealing with lately? The growth model and trying to grasp all the advantages of the system is near impossible to do. I try to keep up white papers, but you get like, I really wish there was a better way to funnel all that information faster to my brain, either be direct chip or whatnot. But yeah, I want to use more. I want to make things faster, but I can't grab that information as fast as I want to. These, serverless land has made it easier for me, and then all the other people that are putting documentation out. So getting better. Anything else? Cool. Thank you very much for having me.